Evening all, and welcome to our talk show with young leaders. Hope all of you are good and safe and taking care of yourself and family in this bad time of coronavirus, and hope everything will be all right in next 3-4 months. So guys, you all may be aware or may not be aware. So this talk show is the brainchild of Peak Impact Mentorship Platform, which has been initiated by Mr. Bijay Khandal, who is a IIT Chennai alumni, and he has a passion of empowering the people. So with this platform, what we do is lot many working professionals are getting mentored. We're getting a lot very clear roadmap about our future growth, internal as well as maybe financial, and in many aspects we are getting benefited. So friends, I'll be asking some questions. You can also in chat you can type your answers who are watching, so that it will be more interactive. And in today's book club, in today's talk show, we have two young leaders. So I would like to ask them to introduce. So Niketan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Hello, all. Good evening. First of all, it's a Father's Day, so I guess you must have been spending a good time with your father, and happy Father's Day to all. And my name is Niketan. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I've been working as a machine tool development engineer here in Bangalore. And it has been a good time since last year and 4 months. After I have got associated with PIM, we are really making good change in our life. Thank you.
Yeah, Pandit, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello all. Myself Pandit. First of all, a happy Father's Day to everyone, as well as happy. It's a Yoga Day as well today, right? And also, I'm having around 12 years of experience in software, especially in mobile application development. Yeah.
Perfect. So guys, today we have very interesting book to discuss, and it's all related to the finance. So finance is such an important aspect of our life, but unfortunately we are not educated in that. So if I ask you, in your education system, have you read any single chapter on personal finance? I don't remember. But all the circus what we are doing in life, job and getting educated and higher education, everything is for money. And many people say money is not important for me. And I laugh actually, because if money is not important, then why we are doing so much of drama, so much of jobs and certification, why we are doing that one? I remember one quote, पैसा खुदा तो नहीं, पैसा खुदा तो नहीं, मगर खुदा कसम खुदा से कम भी नहीं. That's how actually, and we must get educated in this personal finances. And there is a one very famous book you might have heard, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So Rich Dad Poor Dad author is Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, and he is a world finance guru, I would say, because in 1983 he was a bankrupt, and after 4 years he became a millionaire. So with the real estate and other businesses, and parallelly he has also founded an organization, Rich Dad Corporation. So with this organization, he teaches many working individuals on the finance side, because most of us are technically good, but finance side we don't know. Like a simple example, if you say what is asset and liability, because many people will not be able to tell the clarity about it. So I would like to ask first question to get the clarity more on this one. So Pandit, can you please tell what is the asset and liabilities?
Yeah, what I understand, I'll try to explain what is asset and what is liability. So, for example, in most common understanding, what it is, I mean that what we own is an asset, right? And what we owe is a liability. I mean that way we understand the asset or liability, right? For example, and that's why people keep house, car in asset column, right? Or car, even they have. So usually they have a house, even though it's on a mortgage, they say, yeah, it's my asset. Even car is an asset, even though it's on a mortgage. Cash usually an asset, what we have, and what is the stock portfolio we have, that also can be a asset. Now, what is the liabilities then? So liabilities is kind of, let's say I have a credit card bills that I have to pay, or mortgage is what, for example, I brought houses or cars, so that mortgage debt also, that's a liability. So for example, what is our wealth actually? Financial wealth is if you subtract your liabilities and from your asset, that gives you your actual financial wealth, what you have, or equity what you have, right? So now for example, here Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad Poor Dad has given a very sensible and logical definition to that. What he says is that an asset puts money into your pocket, whether you work or not, doesn't matter. So it should put money into your pocket, and a liability takes money out of your pocket, right? So here numbers you have to keep in mind. For example, even if you have a house, for example, so you can convert it into a particular asset if it's a liability. For example, think in this way that, okay, you buy a house, your mortgage is 40K a month, and for example, to convert it into asset, what you can do is, you can, for example, you rent that particular house, for example 20K, still you are paying 20K extra, right, to the bank. Now you also have to stay, right, in the same location, maybe some other location. So for staying also, you have to waste the money, right? So for example, you are staying in a minimal cost 10,000 rupees, for example. So here you are trying to generate extra 10,000 rupees, right? If you are staying in a lower rented house, right? So this way you can, it will take over a period of time, you can convert your liability into your asset. So what you have to understand here is, see, the basic thing that you have to understand, if you only count that thing into asset if it's putting money into your pocket. Otherwise, till that time, if it's not putting money into your pocket, then it's a liability as of that at that particular time. You can convert, you can give a thought, and you can try to convert it into a asset, so that you can improve your wealth, financial wealth. So I mean, this is the way you have to understand what is asset and liability.
Wow, that's perfect explanation, Pandit. Thank you so much for that, because we got a little bit of more clarity on that. So Niketan, one question to you: can house be really an asset?
I mean, right now we have, got a good information from Pandit that he says that if we rent a house, then it can become an asset. But I think that, usually this house in which we stay, usually it will be an investment for a particular person. So he's actually investing a lot in the first place. And second place, it is something like a real estate. Real estate things, the property prices always go. So according to me, if I stay in a house, then I think it will be an asset. It won't be a liability. If I stay in a house, I think it will be an asset, I guess.
Okay, so I'll ask one question. Okay, so suppose one house we are buying, which is 70 lakhs, and 20 lakhs we are making a down payment.
Okay.
And we have EMI of 40,000 per month, and that EMI we are paying for 20 years, and the rent coming from that property is 30,000 rupees.
Oh,
Can
okay.
you tell me what is it asset or it is a liability?
Now, in that case, definitely for per month, I'm paying 10,000 more according to the calculation. So, for that case, house is not an asset to me. That case, it's something like a liability for me. I'm spending more on that. I get a salary and I spend 10,000 more on that.
You are right, Niketan, absolutely right. But that is not 10K, remember. So
Uh,
that actually it is more than 10K, and I'll explain how. So initial 20 lakhs down payment you have done. So actually we are losing at least 8%, 9% or 10% interest over that one. So you can say that 10,000 plus previous 10,000, so 20,000 every month we are losing.
oh, oh.
Yeah. And the important thing is now somebody may argue, no, real estate every year its value get increasing, right? Because sometimes it will be in exponential way. But trust me, the poor and middle class will never be able to buy a house in a place where exponential rates are happening, because there only rich can buy it, poor can buy in outskirts where increasing rates are not in exponential. So that is very important to understand these things, and we don't never consider those factors. So thank you so much, Niketan and Pandit, on getting the clarity over this one. So again, after asset and liability, I would like to explain one more term. It is a cash flow. Okay. So in financial terms, cash flow is very much important. So for self-employed people, cash flow is from their daily earnings. For employed people, salary is a cash flow. And for rich people, a business income itself is a cash flow. So Niketan, can you explain the cash flow of rich people?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Niketan.
Yeah, I mean, I can take a help of this image. So this exactly is a depict of what cash flow is exactly, whether it is for rich, middle, or poor. So in the first two blocks, which are horizontal, it is nothing but income statement, Vishal. And below that, the two blocks which are vertical, those are the balance sheet. So as now we understood right this moment that asset is something which is, putting money to my pocket, and liabilities are something which are taking money out of my pocket. So if I go to the cash flow system, so if we make these blocks, on the bottom side in the balance sheet, we have to write the assets, and the right side, we have to write the liabilities. Now, if we look at the cash flow of a rich person, we will see that as compared to the other person, the middle person and the poor person, the asset column for a rich is more. And that's how the income for the rich people go on increasing. I mean, their liabilities are less. And so the income which is coming out from the asset is taking care of all the expenses. And that's how the cash flows. That's how the money flows. Money goes in, monies go out. So if we talk about a cash flow, this particular thing, I mean, author has explained that, and we have taken a picture of it from the book itself. So if you go for the cash flow explanation, that depicts the cash flow. That's how the cash flow for the rich person explain it in that case.
Thank you, Niketan. It gave more clarity now. Okay, what can be the cash flow for rich people? Correct. So, Pandit, can you explain cash flow for other two categories people, where most of the people are involved in that category?
Yeah. So so the middle class cash flow is like it is depicted here that we have an income. For example, how the thought is like middle class get, for example, that particular, we got a salary, so that's a cash flow, that's the actual primary income. And on top of it, that particular, on the primary income, we have added our liabilities. So maybe we bought a house, or maybe we bought a car, right? And we have the mortgage loans or car loans, we have even credit card debts we have. For example, once we buy a house, we buy internal appliances, we buy furniture, so credit card debts goes, right? uh, and if you have kids, school fees are there. So whatever we get a salary, that's we are using that salary to complete our liabilities or to pay for the liabilities. And also our expenses also depending on the salary only. Whatever other expenses what we have, the daily expenses, that also depending on the salary. So our expenses and liabilities, whatever daily expenses as well as liabilities, are depending on our salary. Middle class, the major problem is that they don't have assets which can give them a cash flow extra, which they can use it for expenses, right? So that is there is the problem. For rich, what happens is they add asset column, or they create assets, and those assets generate money, and that money they can use for expenses. For middle class, usually they don't have assets, so that's the reason whatever they get salary, they spend it. Then now if I talk about the poor people, a poor uh, class, or you can say a cash flow. So they have an income and they have the expenses. They don't have liabilities, but they don't have assets also. So it's like whatever they have a salary, the daily expenses what they have, it goes into that. So they don't have even liability, they don't have even assets. So this is the way the patterns work, actually cash flow patterns work.
Yeah. Thank you, Niketan and Pandit, for giving the clarity on the such an important issue, important thing of cash flow. Because by seeing this graph, okay, I'm able to see why we are not getting richer.
Yeah.
And by comparing the middle class and poor class cash flow pattern, one thought is coming on mind is poor are actually more richer than middle class. Because
yeah, at least they don't have liabilities.
They don't have liabilities. Exactly. So if you see the normal software engineer, his cash flow will be lesser than the auto rickshaw cash flow, auto rickshaw driver cash flow maybe, though his earnings are far lesser than the software engineer.
Right.
Thank you so much, Pandit, for giving the clarity on this. So Niketan, so with this cash flow, okay, we got some clarity, but I have next question. It is said that one rich get richer always.
Yeah.
Okay, rich get richer always. Like I see Ambani, if you see right now Mukesh Ambani, what he is doing, without doing he has, I think he's become now 10th world 10th richest person, right? So can you throw some light, Niketan, on this?
Yes. Can I take a help of that image? Can you please show that image again?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just a moment before we had discussed about what a cash flow is. And if you look at the cash flow of a rich person, you can see first of all the balance sheet and see the asset column. Okay. Now, one and the most important thing is the rich people always know that how to invest on asset. They always earn a money, and after earning a money, they invest properly on those assets which will earn income for them. Okay, so the asset income goes high and the expenses remains same. So that's the reason why the cash flow and the cash saturation goes higher with the rich people. As saturation goes high, they invest again on assets. And what are these assets? It can be real estate, this can be the stocks, bonds, notes, maybe the patents on which they are getting royalties. So these are all the assets. So more the cash flow comes, the more the cash gets generated, they invest on these assets. Now, after that, we also need to understand that richness. What is the richness? What is a wealthiness? Now, there is one particular definition which author's friend has given to him. What it says is wealthiness is something that how far you can go or how many days you can survive without a job. Okay, so for an example, you don't have a job at this moment, so your salary is not there. So how many days you are going to survive? So if you can survive as long as your asset can give income to you, that means you are wealthy. And at that moment, you don't need a job at that moment. You can quit a job. And that's how the wealthier definition can be defined. So if you are wealthy, if you are rich, yes, you have income, you have a money, you have a cash to invest on assets. So if you talk about Mukesh Ambani or bigger giants, you know, they already have income coming out. But after getting cash, after getting money, they invest on assets. They invest on making tie-ups. They invest on making. some ventures with the other company, and that in turn generates another cash for them. And that's the reason why, because of this financial literacy, what they have, they gain financial freedom because they don't get a job in the first place. So they earn a financial freedom, and that's how they get richer and richer and richer every day. Their income, their assets just generate a money for them. That's the reason why the rich people get richer these days.
Oh, that's fantastic, Niketan. So what Niketan was trying to tell is the expenses of rich people are actually taken care by cash flow generated by the asset itself. An asset is generating cash flow means rich people need not to work to generate that income from that asset. That's what asset definition is. Money is coming without their own presence. And that's why actually they have separate time and money resources separate to put it on some other future assets, which can generate furthermore cash flow, positive cash flow. And that's actually secret of rich people, why they get always richer. Okay, so my next question is, and thank you, Niketan, for giving the clarity and so nice examples. Hopefully audience are getting enjoyed with this kind of knowledge. My next question to Niketan, Pandit, is why middle class struggle exactly?
Yeah. So why middle class struggles? I mean, middle class find themselves in a constant state of financial struggle, actually, right? So their primary income is a salary, usually, right? Their primary income will be a salary. So as salary increases, tax increases, right? And their expenses tend to increase in a proportion to their salary. That way, it happens, and there is nothing like they so they have another asset. They don't have anything in the asset column, so they treat their primary asset that as a house, for example. So whatever the house, for example, they have, they treat that as a primary asset instead of investing in other income producing assets. The way Niketan has explained that what rich people do, that they invest in their a little part of income into producing assets which generate another income for them. This is where middle class they don't maybe invest in the that to produce that particular assets. This pattern, I mean, treating your home as an investment, and the philosophy kind of that the pay raise means you can buy a big home, right, or spend more, right? So this kind of a philosophy is a foundation of our debt-ridden society. I mean, the main middle class society, because they have they have the philosophy. The way their philosophy works is, I mean, kind of like, if I have a good salary, I can buy a big house, or I can spend more, right? So increase in spending actually is a greater it's putting the family into a greater debt, a financial uncertainty kind of. So, and for whatever salary, for example, we work for salary, so we are working for a company, right? We work for government because we are paying tax, right? And we work for a bank. Why? Because we have mortgage from them, right? So we have to pay them. So we are taking a salary, but actually we are working for these guys: company, government, and bank, right? So all these people take a big share of our hard work. Middle class, they do I mean, the hard work like anything, they do a very good hard work, but only thing is they don't have that financial literacy. So that's the problem. So now what you need to decide, that the middle class, what I can say is that you need to decide now to concentrate and mind your own business. Focus your efforts on acquiring assets or creating assets. Whatever you have the income, using that you can create the assets. But there you have to focus, and you have to understand how you can do that, or you have to concentrate what you are good at, and you have to invest on such assets. So that I can say.
Yes, very nicely put forth, Pandit. Because if you see the middle class, we run our own company, means our company employer, and we run our government also by paying the taxes, and also we run a Bangalore kind of city. We all stay in Bangalore. Who runs that city? All middle class people,
Right.
Correct. Buying eatables to gadgets and so many things, we only run, which actually ends us in what you call a financial trouble, with the remaining very less cash flow, and which can be used for some emergency. So that
Right.
middle class people, it's a very high tendency of getting financially broke in future. So guys, the only thing is we can save ourselves with a good financial education. Earning money is some what you call it is not everywhere same. I would say the money earned from the liabilities or money earned from the assets are not the same. Those are different. It all matters what kind of money also we are earning it, because salary income, it's tomorrow we don't know that salary income is there or not, whether we earn every month 2 lakh 3 lakhs rupees, but tomorrow we don't know whether we will get that paycheck or not. But same income, maybe half of the income suppose of that salary is coming from some asset. So the thing is, we will have security. At least that asset will not become zero in one day. It may take couple of years to gradually reduce, because it took couple of years to build that asset, which can give the cash flow. So guys, hope all of the audience enjoyed our talk show, and you definitely may have next level of questions. You can put the questions below in comments, and Pandit Niketan and myself will be able to address those questions, or at least we will be able to give the pointers, okay, where you will get the answer for those questions. And it was great talking with you. So next week also again we are going to live on the same topic of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we are taking next level of education, like a tax system and entrepreneurship and selling and all those topics, which are very much relevant for all of us if we want to grow. So thank you, Niketan and Pandit, for being on this talk show.
Thank you, Vishal. Yeah, it's
Thank you,
nice to
thank you,
hear.
thank you, Vishal.